Welcome to Career Choices. I'm your host, Elizabeth Gia. This program is where you'll meet accomplished people sharing their background, experience, and career path. Our guest today, Ms. Lauren Kornegay, has a bachelor's degree in speech communications from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. She's been working in the nonprofit field for many years. Between her paid jobs and volunteer activities, Ms. Kornegay has served in the roles of outreach coordination, communications management, and public engagement and collaboration. Let's meet our guest, Ms. Lauren Kornegay, the Director of Community Engagement for Nourish Now, a nonprofit fighting food waste and hunger. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's start with communications as your bachelor's degree. Why did you pick that field?
Well, I went into the field of communication because I thought it was very important for me to learn how to interact with people. I love one-on-one discussions. I love the interpersonal. I love getting a chance to meet people and talk to people. During the matriculation of me going to Morgan State with the communications degree, I was able to be a part of the Morgan State's forensics and debate team, also be a member of Pi Kappa Delta Honorary Speech Fraternity. So with that being said, I just really am glad that I'm able to use the skills that I learned at Morgan State through my degree.
Wonderful. So you're very much involved with giving back and service. Tell us about that passion throughout your early life and career and your first job.
Okay, well, I'll go back to when I was around 6 years old. I was a part of the Girl Scouts, and I'm still a part of the Girl Scouts because once you're a Girl Scout, you're always a Girl Scout. I was able to become a Girl Scout and stay a Girl Scout up into graduating high school. I received my Gold Award, which is the highest award you can receive as a Girl Scout.
Wonderful.
And then I graduated from college and came back and became a Girl Scout leader. Even though I'm not a Girl Scout leader anymore, I want to make sure I support them in everything that I do and make sure that I raise awareness about what they do because I know how important it is to give back to that group of young ladies.
That's wonderful, and I can relate. I was a brownie, so kudos to all the Girl Scouts.
Yes.
So now your current role here is the Director of Community Engagement for Nourish Now. Tell us about what that collaboration or outreach means in terms of your duties.
Well, as a Director of Community Engagement, I work hand-in-hand with volunteers that come in. I make sure that we set it up so that we can have businesses, nonprofits, youth groups, etc. to come out. I also make sure that we manage the partnerships that we have, again, with nonprofits, businesses, churches, things of that nature. And I also make sure that we're doing canned food drives, snack food drives, or just regular food drives to make sure that we are preparing for either our snack initiative program or our Thanksgiving project.
These projects obviously involve a lot of people, a lot of volunteers, workers, partnerships, outreach. How did you get into that kind of space where you're coming up with different ways to encourage collaboration?
Okay, well, it's important for me to collaborate with a lot of the businesses in the area as well as nonprofits. What I try to do is research that organization, that business, make sure that we align our mission up with what they believe in. From there, we sit down and we discuss how we can benefit from each other because within a partnership, the best part is that we both benefit.
The win-win.
Right, a win-win. So that's what we try to do. And then when I continue, we go ahead and we follow up and we talk and we make sure that we're on the same page because collaboration, that includes both of us in this. And we have to make sure that we're on the same page so we can both be successful, whether it's an event, whether it's a fundraiser, or whether it's just a program that we have going on. So we just want to make sure we follow up and then also show our appreciation for that group.
So can you give me maybe an example, a recent one, perhaps the golf tournament, as a tangible example as to what kind of collaborative involvement did that take place?
Thank you for that. Yes, we just recently had our golf tournament on October the 15th, which was last week. So that took so much collaboration with So What Else, Mama Lucia, having other businesses come out and be a part of such a really great opportunity. I was there at 7:45 in the morning. We had so many businesses come, and they had actually golf teams, the foursomes come out and they represented each organization or business that supported us.
Very good.
And then even still, you still had people that provided the bags for us, that provided the information to go in the bags, the gift cards. So that takes a lot of collaboration and partnership to make sure that we can have a successful event.
This event, how many people were there?
Oh, wow. Speaking of, I think it was roughly around a good 100 maybe.
Very nice.
And that may include some of the golfers as well as the people that worked behind the scenes as well.
So in that regard, how do you inspire people to get engaged with an organization, Nourish Now, for example?
Well, I think the best thing to do is go back to researching. Finding out about an organization and understanding that organization really helps. So getting people engaged with Nourish Now, we have to figure out where we can really affect people. How can I get people to listen to what I have to say? Whether it's a story, whether it's something about my personal life that can reach someone, or whether it's just simply about volunteering. You bring that person or that company into your facility, you give them a tour of where you work, what you do, what you see, and then give them the opportunity to want to give back.
Very good. And in terms of these types of collaborative events, there's fundraising sometimes involved. How do you motivate people to become donors?
Well, it kind of goes back to the story. What I used to do when I worked at another job, and I'm planning on doing the same thing at this job, is give a speech. Tell a story about a time where I was suffering or when I went through something in my life. That way you can put a face on it. So you can see how it feels to, be without food or go through a situation or go to school hungry. You want to make sure that people can feel that and make sure that people understand that. When people don't have anything they can feel or touch, it's not tangible, they don't really have the connection. But if someone is standing in front of you telling of a story about a time when they did not eat, then that reels people in.
I can imagine that's very personal and expressing and sharing a time of hardship, vulnerable, a little bit more exposed. How do you make yourself or someone share that type of information without maybe feeling a little bit nervous?
Well, you're always going to feel nervous. It's very personable, but when you're working in a nonprofit, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be genuine with people. You have to tell them the truth. And that is how you gain partners and how you gain donors and volunteers, because what they want to see is the realness. They don't want to see things being covered up. They don't want to see when someone's coming in trying to clean up and hide stuff. They want to see the realness of the organization.
Authenticity.
Right. So when I'm getting up and I'm speaking about, my personal life, I'm using that as a tool to be successful. And regardless of that, that may help another child or another family later on in life.
Would you care to quickly say a little bit about your story?
Oh, not a problem at all. Thanks for asking. I was inching around it a little bit. But a while ago, probably when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was struggling. I was in foster care. My mom was not as well as she could be. So I was placed into a household. Of course, I didn't know anybody. I was taken out of the school. Things shifted for me very quickly. I didn't get a chance to eat sometimes. And we were talking earlier about the Snack Initiative program and how, sometimes children are at school and they're hungry. I had that experience. I know what it's like to be hungry at school and to worry about where my next meal is coming from. And I know what it's like to, be at home and my mom or my dad is not focused because they're either at work or they're doing something else, and I'm at home by myself at 6 or 5 and not eating. So I was in foster care, and roughly around the time I started Girl Scouts is when things started, shifting out for the better. But that foster care little piece has really helped me realize where I want my heart and my values to lie at, as far as me giving back to the community and helping me do nonprofit work.
That's wonderful. I can imagine it's important to have people within that community to have a spokesperson.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing your story and continue to share that story.
Thank you.
And certainly going back to your current position with engagement, are there target types of people you try to connect with, or is it just the broader local community, or is there like a plan to target specific groups?
We don't have a plan to target specific groups. We believe that everybody is somebody, and whether it is a youth group, they may not be able to donate, but they may be able to do a canned food drive and donate those items, or they may be able to come volunteer. And we all know that youth move faster than we do, so that's very helpful for us. Nice. Also, we have the senior citizens group. They may not be able to do certain things, but they love giving back. They love coming in to volunteer. They love being able to really move fast. We had a group come in, I believe, last week, and a group of older women. And I didn't think anything of it. We gave them an assignment and they were done within 30 minutes, and now we had to find something else to do. So we don't really have target audiences.
It's time to take a break. Stay with us. We'll talk more with Ms. Kornegay.
Packers.
Viking.
Packers.
Viking. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan,
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live
our families,
united.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every book is an adventure waiting to come to life. Visit new worlds. Encounter new friends. And discover the power of reading. Go to read.gov to read A Princess of Mars, the first novel to feature John Carter. A new world awaits. Read.
Welcome back to Career Choices. In today's program, we've invited Ms. Lauren Kornegay to talk about her career, and it's in nonprofits, and I've enjoyed listening to the first part. So now let's go back to that theme of giving back. And we see this over and over again, certainly in the nonprofit world and throughout your career. So tell us a little bit more about that theme of giving back, how that relates to your day-to-day duties.
Okay, well, having it relate to my day-to-day duties, it's really the simple things that really excite me at Nourish now. We have about 30 to 40 people to come out. They set appointments to come get family boxes of food, and just seeing the instant reward really excites me, because I know that we are feeding someone, we're feeding a family, we're assisting someone. So when I am on the phone trying to plan a canned food drive for Thanksgiving, or I'm getting ready to plan something for the Snack Initiative program, or I have a Girl Scout troop getting ready to come in to pack snacks for children in need, I'm excited. And that's some of the stuff that I do on a day-to-day. It's always different. Every day is a different day because it's a nonprofit. You never know what you're going to get, but I'm still excited that I have an opportunity to use my little bit of skills to assist this organization.
Wonderful. So when it comes to this type of community engagement work, perhaps there are moments where you have to be a little bit more creative. So can you give me some examples of how you have to be creative on your job?
Well, creativity is a key of nonprofits. It keeps us open, it keeps us ready for new things, and it keeps us alert. So creativity, for example, the website, being creative with your website or your newsletter. And you have to be creative to somehow get involved with your donors. So for example, I decided to do an introduction letter because I just started working at Nourish now. And I sent out an introductory letter to let people know that I was new to the area, this is my position, and I will be working here. Now, it may not be done often, but this was something that I thought was creative, and that did assist me with a lot of different things. So
Certainly it helped because I read that email, and you're here now, so thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Establishing
Creativity.
the relationship.
Yes, thank you.
So, and also in terms of your volunteer experiences, how does volunteering influence your career path or maybe your choices and what kind of roles you're looking for?
Well,
Are they, complementary, or are they two different paths, your career and your volunteers?
I think everything goes hand in hand with me. I am a giving person. That was something that my mom instilled in me at a very young age. So that's all I've ever wanted to do is really give. Now, because I have a degree in communications, I know exactly how I can give. So I would say that everything goes hand in hand. On my career path, I will stay within the nonprofits because I feel like my values align up perfectly with what nonprofits do, which is give back. Now, as far as it aligning up perfectly with certain nonprofits is a different story, but just wanting to make sure that I stay the course of making sure I lend a helping hand to people in need.
So when you're looking at the broader skill set of how important it is to be open and communicative, are there any main training or types of environments you would encourage others to be a part of so that they could also pick up those types of skills for a career in giving back?
Volunteer. That's the first step because that gives you an opportunity to see hands-on and the actual experience of it. And one thing I will tell people is adaptability is a very important skill to have when you're in the nonprofit field. You did mention communication, but I also want to mention listening because a lot of time we communicate and we think we're effectively communicating, but we're not really listening. And a lot of times people don't listen to their volunteers, they don't listen to their donors, they don't listen to the people such as their clients. So it's important. So those two things, adaptability and listening, and then just making sure that you're aligning yourself up.
Wonderful. That's very useful information. Certainly you don't want to be just communicating and not having a two-way feedback type relationship. So now what do you think would be the most valuable experience or lesson so far that you have gained in your career?
I actually just thought about this the other day. I recently moved from South Carolina. I'm originally from Oxon Hill, Maryland, which is Prince George's County, and I moved to South Carolina in 2015. My mom is from that area, so I wanted to get closer to family members, friends, and I moved and I got a new job. And with having that job in an area where no one knew me, no one knew who I was, and I was taking over a project that had not been touched within about a year. That was one of the biggest challenges, but it was a very valuable experience for me because it showed me that I could do it. It showed me that I can gain the respect of people, my peers. It showed me that I was able to have people believe in me. I was able to get people on my team to support my mission and what I did. And that right there was a true challenge, but a true valuable experience for me. And now I'm getting ready to do the same thing here.
Wonderful. So that was in South Carolina. Wonderful. So it basically, a challenge is one of the biggest opportunities to learn and pick up more skills or become a master at what you want to be doing. Wonderful. So now moving on, what's your proudest moments or anything that come top of your mind so far that you feel really proud you've done?
I actually think that was my proudest moment. Going back to saying how people were able to believe in me, and just knowing that I was able to communicate effectively, listen to my peers, listen to the community members about what it is that they need, and take an old program and turn it to a new program, and really give back and build partnerships and talk to people and really see what the biggest situations that they were going through were. So that was my proudest moment, because I came across so many children that I helped. Even though I felt like I was in the behind the scenes type of person, I'm not always trying to be in the open, but I saw the benefits and I saw the reward and I saw cases being closed, and I saw children go home with their parents, and I saw what we know as a happy childhood, because everybody wants a happy childhood. So that is my proudest moment, being able to even just put a smile on a child's face, even if it is momentarily.
That's wonderful. I feel your job is something that most areas need. Even we might not see it for ourselves. I'm sure in your role you see it a little bit closer. For people or the audience, what kind of other types of advice would you have for them if they are now thinking of going into nonprofits?
That's a really great question. I always want to advise people to make sure they research. And it keeps going back to aligning yourself up perfectly with that nonprofit. A lot of times people think nonprofit work is easy. It is not an easy task. There are long hours sometimes. There are days when, you go into work with your schedule and to-do list, and it's none of it. You get none of it done because you have a different task that you have to complete now. So just understanding that you have to be flexible is important. Understanding you have to be able to adapt to things is important. Doing your research, going back to making sure you align yourself up perfectly with the nonprofit. Find something that you're passionate about, and then do research on nonprofits that may come close to what you're passionate about. Because if you don't have the passion, it won't work. You have to think about what really drives you as a person. So those are the two things I would suggest. And anybody looking to join a nonprofit, that's a great task, but be ready to work.
That's good to hear. When you say that research component of, getting to know that nonprofit, any advice on how you would go about with that type of research? What are you doing to conduct the research?
Well, what I would be doing, and this is what I did to get my job, I looked at their Facebook, I looked at their Instagram, their Twitter, all of their social media. I looked at the LinkedIn page. You look up their name so that their name could probably come up on Google Drive. Maybe they've been in an article, maybe they've been written down and received a plaque, or maybe they have a certain day where they are able to dedicate this day to that company. So there are a lot of different ways you can research, and there are a lot of companies that also will pop up in the midst of you doing your research from that. That way, when you go and you talk to that person, you can find out more information about this organization that you're interested in.
And certainly you can do this online, and afterwards you would want to reach out as well and be prepared to tell them what you know.
Right. because there's no point in doing research if you're not going to tell them.
They want to hear that from you.
Right.
Okay.
And that entices people, that excites people, and that gets them excited to know that you know what they did.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all your information.
You're so
about
welcome.
nonprofits and the experience so far. So this concludes our program for today. Thanks to our guest, Ms. Lauren Kornegay, for sharing her career journey and accomplishments so far. And thank you for joining us. Hope Ms. Kornegay's stories inspire you to explore different career choices that bring a positive impact to our community. And if you have any feedback or comments, or if you would like to share your experience, please email us at qip.career.choices@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time on Career Choices.